are we here on a beautiful day as today in a setting that is so rare in any village anywhere in Britain. Just look at the backdrop, which you cannot see right now. The houses, without pointing at the obvious one which doesn't quite fit in, isn't this rare, this setting? Cornwall has changed a lot over the last few years, over the last 40 years. When I went away to work in London, there were serious patches of building going on in the 70s. And then on coming back with my son, I couldn't believe the rapid rate of growth. But now it's just become, well, it's unbelievable, the speed in which everything's happening. And I think that is what's pressurising a lot of people to suddenly think about Cornwall. And what's going to be left at the end of the day is just this rapidity of it and the lack of knowledge of where it's going to be. We know that we're destined to have so many thousands of houses built, but not anybody really knows where they're going to be until they start building quite often. As far as this village goes, with regards to development, there are pockets all around the village where the odd house has been built. But the main concern in this village is actually to do with the full fields that are in the centre of the village. It's a rare composition, having that air space, that lung space within any village. It's also in front of a Grade 1 listed church, which you can see here, so the fields are on the other side. And the fields are surrounded by Grade 2 listed houses, so it's quite a unique setting. A chap is living in the middle of these fields and he's trying to turn it into a campsite. All of this without any written permission. He has several enforcement orders against him to stop doing what he is doing, but he doesn't feel obliged to do any of the directions given to him. He spent a fortune on placing septic tanks within the area. He's planted pipe work underground all the way down to a freshwater stream. And this underground stream runs all the way down to Porthleven. And that stream goes down to the allotments at Stopgate, from where people use the water to put on their crops. So there's a lot going on that has been done without regulation. And even though the enforcement team through the council are working really, really hard to try and get everything together to make sure that they can stop what's going on, this guy doesn't stop. Our protest was really to highlight that this was a special case. It's a groundbreaking case in many ways, because the fields are unusual, they're supposed to be protected, and if this chap gets away with what he's doing, and turns it into a campsite, or it's built in, that will mean that all other areas in Cornwall with a similar situation are going to be open to the same sort of abuse, and we will lose areas of natural beauty. Yeah, with regards to how it's affected the village, it's done a couple of things. It's united factions of the village that were disunited in the past, where past grievances have been forgotten, and people have united together because it is such a special area. And on other sides it's actually caused divisions, but nothing too grave. There's none of this divide and rule business that some people talk about. It has made it difficult for us to hold public meetings in, say, the social club anymore, because the social club have people who do a lot of developing as members there, and have written to suggest that perhaps we don't hold meetings there anymore because they could be biased against the developers, and they are also political, which my husband and I found rather strange, because the year before they had Derek Thomas in there holding surgery during open hours. Anyway, we won't worry about that. If we do need to hold more public meetings, I'm sure we could find somewhere else to do it. So in a way it has a bit of a division there, but we can forgive people. At the moment we're more concerned with the one object in mind, and that is to protect the fields. Cornwall is becoming a scene of ugly visual homogeny, leaving gaping loopholes that developers could fly a jumbo jet through. I do not believe for 1 minute that this was any accident.
I've driven down from 4 lanes, and today I discovered a new estate has gone up in 4 lanes. I've just discovered that today. That's to add to the 3 new estates we had last year. This isn't NIMBYism, okay? We're just being swamped by jerry-built rubbish everywhere. Now, councillor of the governing part of Cornwall Council said, rich people from up country will always want to buy homes in Cornwall. One answer is to build so many that there's enough for them and for locals too. Well, Cornwall Council should need to take note. There is never going to be enough houses to satisfy the greed of the rich.
A significant number of people who know anything about Cornwall have now left as officers of Cornwall Council. There's very little in the way of knowledge of what is Cornwall and how Cornwall operates in terms of supporting community.
Road, but because it's the poshest road in the village, that is the way the Cornish do it. So it's higher because they're posher. This here is 2 fields out of 4 fields that we're actually trying to protect. This one, as you can see, has been altered slightly. It's going to apparently be a campsite, but this is all being done without any permission whatsoever, and actually with an enforcement order on it. We'll see what happens.
And the hedge has disappeared.
Yes.
The lovely Cornish hedge is gone.
This gateway was not here before. This has been put here next to the children's playing area. And as you see, the entrance to the play area is protected from traffic, but it is certainly not protected from traffic from here. It's a single track road, which didn't have this extension. It used to be it's going to be 3 stories long. Absolutely. Right, trying to stop bills over Cornwall. I think just by doggedly not giving in. I had to take a case in mind. I mean, the chicken farm that was planned for Nant-Scollin, we found out last Friday, has been refused, and that is a huge, huge groundbreaking move. Bristol have turned it down, and that will not happen. And I feel that this has invigorated other people to believe in people power, and that's what's going to drive us. We are having a huge, huge protest up at Lees Kernow. And it's going to be on a day when all the councillors are going to be there. Yeah, we're not giving up.
Why am I here? I'm here to put a demonstration forward and show the the feeling and the outrage of like sort of what's happening in Cornwall these days, and the destruction of Cornwall, the mass overdevelopment of Cornwall, building on our lands, building on our fields, concreting over everything like that. The out of control, greedy building that's going on, with a complete lack of regard for any of the Cornish heritage, for the Cornish people, homes for holiday makers, homes for second home owners. It's disgusting, forcing the young people out of Cornwall, and no backup, no hospitals, no extra hospitals, no extra schools. That's basically what I'm here just to help show the strength of feeling against what's going on in Cornwall these days.
We're here today to protest against the destruction of Cornwall, Cornwall's heart being ripped out. A lot of people here feel helpless, feel as if they're heartbroken by the things that are going on all over Cornwall. You can see representatives from different villages, different towns. They're all having the same problem with the overdevelopment of Cornwall.
I don't think anyone here is against development per se, but developers are using Cornwall for speculative development, all aggressively marketed outside of Cornwall, demonstrating that their developments are not based on local need, but they use local need as their rationale. Now the villains are the National Planning Policy Framework, the developers themselves, but also Cornwall Council. I heard Bob Egerton in Cabinet say he was delighted that people are flooding to Cornwall to live. I've witnessed planning meetings where legitimate objections have been blocked by Cornwall Council officers. That cannot be right. So, because Cornwall Council will not listen to legitimate objections, that's why people here are angry. We're being ignored, excluded and marginalised, all for developers' greed and profit. Right, can I start some shouting?
Yeah.
Enough is enough! That's enough! We can't go on much longer! Enough is enough! I can't go on much longer! Enough is enough! I can't go on much longer! Enough! Enough! I can't go on. King James's men shall understand what Cornish lads can do, and have they fixed the where and when, and shall Trelawney die? Here's 20,000 Cornish men will know the reason why. Trelawney died. Here's 20,000 Cornish men will know the reason why. How England brave when was he? If London's Tower and Michael's Hall will send Trelawney home, and he shall bid us stay. And shall Trelawney live? And shall Trelawney die? Here's 20,000 Cornish men will know the reason why.
Need not greed. 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 Need not greed.
Listening, Julian.
Need not greed.
On Grade 2 agricultural land. It's been done under an affordable housing banner when there is not the affordable housing need within Cuba. It's a rural exception site which can only be used for affordable housing, and it's going to breach the traditional barrier of the village, which has been there for years and years and years, and this will open the floodgate to numerous developments within Cubit. Cubit has one road in and one road out. We have one village shop. The school is full. We have not got the infrastructure for this at all whatsoever. It's going to destroy historical landscapes. It's going to destroy the beautiful entrance to our village, where there is a Grade 2 Wesleyan chapel, the oldest in Cornwall. We just can't cope with it. And you're trying to use the affordable banner on a rural exception site, and there is not the need there because there are planning permissions already in place for the houses, and Crantock, our neighbouring village, has an excess of 39 houses which would cover all needs that are required. And they say affordable homes, and these affordable, so-called affordable homes will not be affordable to local people because we are in an area of holiday homes. They will just be future holiday homes, destroying Cornwall even more.
Thank you very much for coming to Cornwall Council. My name's Julian German, I'm leader of Cornwall Council, and we really appreciate you coming to the council today and making your feelings known about what's happening in Cornwall. I recognise some of you, but Cornwall's a big place, and of course there's many of you that I don't know. And it's good to hear your views. We're here to represent the residents of Cornwall. We're your council. We're elected by you, and if you don't like what the council's doing, then please elect other people.
But you need I'm here because Cornwall's changing faster than any other period in its history. I've got 3 children. I want them to have a chance and their friends to have a chance in Cornwall. I'm sick of, for generations, throughout time, the Cornish have been treated as a second-class citizen in their own land. I don't expect the Cornish to have the first choice, but I'm sick to death of us having the last choice.
That it wasn't dealt with very well by our officers. And
it must have cost Cornwall Council £60,000. It cost us £30,000 to do it. And why? Because of the inability of your planners to see ahead and do it properly.
Well, I don't need the
cost the council
I don't
money.
know the detail of that particular planning permission, but I'll certainly pass your comments on.
Can we grab that picture now?
Driving past not knowing that we're here, so carry on talking and stuff like that, but if some of us with flags and banners can go up to the main road so people can see we're here, please.
No, they're alright for the kids, yeah.
Right over the sign.
Well, I'm not prepared to do like this and take time off work.
We should be chanting. We're protesting because the plans are to build 770 houses, which will affect myself and much of the public. They plan to build 770 houses, which will destroy an ancient moorland called Algava Moor. We've been protesting this for probably 18 months now, and we've organised meetings, including our MP Scott Mann, who fully backs us, with the Bodmin Town Council. But the problem is Cornwall Council just won't listen, or if they listen, they don't do anything. It's on the Lostwithiel side of Bodmin. It stretches over probably about 1.5 miles in area. It was a medieval moorland, which has been used as a medieval dump actually, but it's something that we believe we should save. There are, we've got videos of otters on the stream, and we're also looking at other protected species which we're trying to save, and of course all the plants and the trees that we're concerned will be cut down.
Okay, so we had a group of people that were unhappy. They come from different areas all around Cornwall, from different villages and so forth. And I just thought, right, let's get together, and instead of moaning online and on Facebook, let's get out there and show our faces and show our disgust of what's going on here. Absolutely despicable what they're doing to Cornwall. Absolutely despicable how they're treating the heritage, the wildlife, all the green spaces and the coastal areas, and I'm just sick to death of the whole thing, really. I think it's showing faces. People have been talking to people today. I think a lot of things are being shrugged off. But I'm hoping with us being out here and protesting, showing our faces, showing that we're actually here and we're not just behind Facebook, we're not just behind the media, that we're going to go out there and shout, and we're going to be stood there, and we're going to be there in their face, that, you know, we might get some more momentum going, and we might actually do something to change what's going on. I expect there'll be more protests. I'm expecting to keep up the momentum. I'm hoping that we're going to keep the Facebook group We Hate the Destruction of Cornwall going. We're going to move all the people from the protest page for today over to there, and then hopefully we'll keep fighting and keep going and keep momentum going.
Also, we're not saying that we don't want any house.
Today I'm here to come speak to Cornwall councils and make sure that Cornwall Council understands that the people of Cornwall are not happy with the mass construction that's happening. Although that many people do understand that we do need more houses, to the degree that they're currently building is such a ridiculous level that, despite the fact I've come back with a large amount of savings, I can't find anywhere to let in Houston without it being a no pets, no dogs, no children rules and such. A lot of the houses that are being built in Cornwall, they're either completely unnecessary and are just being built for the sake of selling more houses to people up country. Otherwise they're not good quality, as the ones up towards Newquay, I think it was, which were having severe damage done to them rather quickly. Of course, then there are the houses which they're being built and they're being termed they're affordable housings for locals, but very few people in Cornwall are actually able to afford them because the affordability rate isn't based specifically on the pay within Cornwall. I reckon that the places that are currently under construction, the ones that have already got planning permission, we're not really going to be able to stop very effectively. However, in regards to ones being built in future, as long as Cornwall Council understands that they need oversight and they listen to people, there's no reason that it can't be slowed. The housing in Cornwall, I believe, is about twice the national average now, which Cornwall has a population of 500,000. It doesn't need 75,000 extra houses in a random town to be built. I've just come back from trying, everywhere I look out any building of my apartment, walking around at work or at study, there's nothing but empty apartment buildings and that have just been constructed for the sake of thinking people will move in from other places. But at this rate, Cornwall is going to end up exactly the same, just lots of houses to look at with no one able to afford any of them.
They're building too many, and some need to be built for other people that are being born. We want to see Greenfield when we're older.
Okay, so I want to tell you about our village of Iluggan and how we're about to lose our last open space in the centre of our village. A beautiful field that's a glebe land, so it was in the custody of the church and for the use of local people, and the church have sold it to Coastline for the development of 33 houses, and we've had no public consultation. The church didn't tell us their intentions, and over 100 people turned up at the site meeting to say that they didn't want it. The Iluggan Parish Council said they didn't want it, and Cornwall Council said that they didn't want it. This was in 2016, and the diocese then appealed to central government, and they overturned the decision, and that was at the end of 2016. And I'm just really upset about the hypocrisy of the church. I want them to practice what they preach, and in their green policy they say that we should preserve and protect what we have for future generations to enjoy, and I can't see that happening here, and to be honest I'm devastated. Al?
The thing is, over a period of a few years now we've been fighting, it's caused a lot of people a lot of unnecessary stress. And a lot of people are deeply grieving for the loss of this land. This land to us is a little bit of a symbol to us because there's such a lot of wildlife on there. I could go through them all. We could start with bats, we could start with birds, bees, foxes, badgers. We can go through the whole lot.
Deer?
Deer, that's another one that goes in there. And
woodpeckers?
Oh God, we could go on for ages, couldn't we, saying what it is. And we feel, and we are grieving at the loss of this land, which meant so much to people. And not only that, we was under the impression that sooner or later it would be an extension for the graveyard. And at the moment the graveyard, because of the accessibility of the area, people moving in, the death rate has gone up in the area, I would suppose. The graveyard is filling up rather quickly. Now I've approached parish about it on many occasions and can be my referee on that. And at the very moment, I'd say a stitch in time. What are they going to do now that that land is gone? Where are the burials going to be in Iluggan? I got stopped many a time by the older generation and said, my husband is buried in there, my son is buried in there, my eldest granddaughter is buried in there, and I would like to be buried with them or very close. And it's upsetting, and I use the word again, stressful for people knowing where am I going to be buried, where are my remains. I want to stay with my family.
Okay, so I want to tell you about, I feel the effect the development will have on the dynamics of the village and its delicate infrastructure. The main problem we have is the loss of our last open space, which is going to have a terrible impact. We've been using the field for about 4 years regularly, and we've really enjoyed it, and it's brought the community together. And
last time we had a picnic on it.
We just recently had a picnic, and
which is brilliant.
Yeah, it was really lovely. And every morning I see people walking their dogs. People go over there and sketch.
Everything. Still being used
by
the public.
Yeah, it's being used every day, and we have really enjoyed using it for the past couple of years, haven't we? So that's going to be tragic because it's a space for us to connect with nature, and which is so vital for our well-being. It's a chance for us to connect with each other.
Socialising.
Yeah.
It's a socialising.
Yeah.
Good morning,
which is
how are you?
so important. And we can gather there for celebrations and, like I say, picnics and dog walking, and it's a time when lots of us live behind really tall fences, and the development is going to have really tall fences all around it, and yeah, so it was a chance to give Iluggan a sense of community, and it was a chance to extend Manningham Woods to incorporate the field and widen the wildlife corridor down to Illogham Woods. There will be a loss of wildlife in the village.
Oh, it will definitely affect the wildlife.
Yeah, definitely. I go over there most mornings and I see woodpeckers, greater spotted woodpeckers, green woodpeckers, nuthatches. These birds are really shy woodland birds, and they are not going to want to live right next door to people's houses. They're just not.
Like everybody else, after a while, you think, what's the good? What's the use? And people start to give up. But we don't give up. We don't give up. I'm telling you that. And at the end of the day, because that's who we are. That's in our blood.
No,
you know, and this is such, I'm going back on the very pages, this is such an eco-loss to this community. But apparently, to the powers to be, that don't mean nothing. Nothing. You know, and we know in the Cornwall area now, there's approximately 2,700 empty houses waiting on probate. Every main street, we'll just take locally, Cameron and Redruth, there's flats above the shops, empty. So you're going to ask the question, they're saying, oh, we need more properties, we need more homes. They're here.
Okay, so here we are in Islington-on-Sea, otherwise known as Carbis Bay, overlooking the new development which was opened up this year. The hotel has been owned by the father and son team, Malcolm and Stephen Baker, since 1981. When they launched this building, they said it was a vision come to life. So it's 10 years in the making. £15 million went into this development, and a lot of annoyance too. They've moved badgers out of the way for this, and other wildlife it's gone on top of. In the £15 million, they were given £525,000 from the big lottery Coastal Communities Fund, and that was to help with the construction of the lodges, a business centre, a wedding venue, and also a water sports centre, and also a community centre. I haven't seen anything about a community centre just yet, but that might be just me. As well as disturbing the wildlife, the coastal path was moved during construction as well. And now down at the beachfront, where it was very easy to see where you could access the beach from before, now there is either going through the cafe on the left-hand side, there's a very well hidden set of steps on the right-hand side, and I've heard people who come up to me and said, well, how do I get onto the beach? I had to explain to them that actually they can access that way, which should be a little more obvious even if it's a private beach down that way. Of course, the other way to get onto the beach is through these wonderful steps and down onto the beach through the green area, which is nice. Behind me is a new construction coming into this lovely land. Behind the camera currently is steeple woodland, which thankfully is protected, but you can see the building is going on right up to the limits, as close as they can to this. And it's the same further down, where they're building 65 houses in the field next door, and further along Carbis Bay. The whole place is currently a building site. This is all you can hear around the village. It's all I can hear when I'm at home as well, and there's dust everywhere, which isn't very good either, considering the radon levels. In the land immediately behind me in this field, a company called Bunny Homes are proposing 26 buildings in here, 16 for open market and 10 as supposedly affordable housing. With the rules for St Ives neighbourhood plan, 40% of these do need to be affordable housing, and with the stipulation of the people being the main residents for that building. How do you feel about the proposed building behind your house?
Yes, I feel that the road just isn't adequate to take the amount of traffic, because there's going to be 25 bungalows or houses in there, mixture, and potentially that's 50 cars, 2 cars per unit, plus deliveries, and motorhomes, etc. So it's just not adequate to come out on that road there, which is Polworth Drive, and people park all the way along there. It's so dangerous as it is now, you know.
But
So
of course, you're going to have a high traffic going past your building as well.
yes,
Your house,
absolutely. So, which okay, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. But I want it done properly. I don't want ad hoc.
Have you seen the plans for the type of houses they're placing here?
Yes.
And what do you think of the style of housing?
Well, they don't look too bad. The ones at the back are going to be houses, shall we say, and all the rest down this end are going to be bungalows. So, you know, to look at it, it's going to be slightly better than having it the other way around, I suppose. But it's just too many.
It is, and with the building, it's not just here as well, it's in Carney Lane, behind Carney Lane as well.
Yes.
And also over to Steeplewoods.
Yes. And another big thing is where is all the water going to go? You know what's happening up in Derbyshire now? Well,
with the dam breaking.
Yeah, we get masses of rain down here as well. If you look at the slope, there's a little culvert down the bottom.
That's right.
But it won't be adequate to cope, you know. So it's either going to pour out here or to the houses along here.
Of course, there's been issues up in Falmouth recently with the amount of building and the extra sewerage needed to cope, and it hasn't been coping.
Yeah, well, it's sewerage, water, schools, etc., etc. You can go on and on.
This is it. The whole infrastructure isn't quite there, is
Absolutely, yes. So they've got to do it, get the infrastructure in, and then start developing.